Shifting focus to debate 2. After firing the top leadership of Twitter on day one, Elon Musk has steered the tech world with the announcement that Twitter's verified badge will now come at a cost. This comes as part of the premium subscription plan called Twitter Blue, which will cost the user $8 a month. Musk's rationale has been that Twitter needs to make money, and a large chunk of it can't just come from advertisements. He says the new subscription will offer priority replies, mentions and searches and cut down on ads by half. Twitter Blue members will also be able to post long videos and audio in a move to attract more content creators. But here is the flip side. Twitter's earlier verification system handed out the blue tick to notable users via an application system to essentially differentiate between genuine and parody accounts. But how will it change the ecosystem if that firewall is now subject to a price tag? Will the blue tick now lose its credibility? Will the implementation of payment and subscription systems cause an exodus of Twitter users? Or will it expand user experiences and help the social media giant cash in on its massive global base? Before I get all these questions to the guests, here's a look at Twitter 2.0 under Elon Musk.
It's official. A verified badge on your Twitter ID, better known as the blue tick, will now cost $8 a month. Twitter's new boss, Elon Musk, spelt it out in a tweet on Tuesday, hitting out at what he called the current lords and peasants system and dubbing the $8 a month charge power to the people. He also had a message for critics: please continue complaining. Responding to feedback, Musk said prices will be adjusted as per a country's purchasing power parity. People with blue ticks will have multiple benefits, which include priority in replies, mentions and search, which is essential to defeat spam and scam, the ability to post long video and audio, and half as many ads. The buzz around a fee for the blue tick has sparked intense debate. Many say it's not worth paying for and questions the idea of a reliable tweet. Others argue there's nothing wrong in charging for it as a revenue earner for the company. The price tag had drawn a response from none other than best-selling author Stephen King, expressing disappointment. Mr. King lashed out in a tweet, saying Twitter should pay him and saying he'd be gone like Enron. The Enron mention obviously refers to the epic fall of the major US corporation after years of rapid growth. Musk did respond to King, saying Twitter can't rely on advertisers, even asking if $8 would be right. He also termed it the only way to defeat the bots and trolls. The decision is made. Want a blue tick on your Twitter ID? Pay $8 a month. But the debate continues. Why a fee for a blue tick is justified versus the concerns raised, and how it may actually end up harming Twitter as we know it.
So here are the arguments on both sides of the debate. Those who are for blue tick and the payment for it say it is a legal business model, while the counter is that it dilutes the qualification for a verification badge. Remember, there used to be a proper procedure that used to be followed for any kind of blue tick or the verification. Those in favor of the price tag are saying that it will prevent identity theft and cloning. But the counter then is that it will open the floodgates of an exodus to other platforms. Will who then benefit? Finally, those who are for that payment of $8 say that the move will filter out bots and trolls from the ecosystem. That's what Elon Musk is saying. But the counter is that it will weaken the credibility of tweets from verified IDs. So it will be verified IDs without any checks or verification process, and IDs that we know otherwise as well. So what will be the difference between the two if it's about $8 a month? Let me bring in my guests. Abhishek Asthana is founder of Ginger Monkey. Arvind Gupta, head and co-founder of Digital India Foundation. NS Napinai is Cyber Sathi Foundation founder and an advocate. We also have advocate Khushbu Jain. I'm going to begin with you, Napinai. Although Twitter will be a free-to-use app, how good is the idea of charging $8 per month for a verification badge, or blue tick as it is called? Will it make Twitter a perhaps more elitist space?
Myra, there was one clarification I wanted to bring in before I answer your question. You mentioned in the opening statement that the blue tick is going to be given for the asking, and there is a possibility it may not follow the verification process. So that's the clarification I wanted to bring in, that the assumption ought to be, and if that is not what is being intended by Twitter, they may want to do a relook on it, that they may charge for a service which they have been providing as free so far. But that does not mean they can do away with the verification process, because the very idea of offering that service for $8 means that they are doing the procedure mandated for verification. So it's not about earning $8, it's about providing a service for $8. And that service is about actually doing the verification. So the actual verification process cannot be done away with, irrespective of whether it's free or paid.
Okay.
And as far as whether that's creating an elitism, if you look at Elon Musk's statement, what he seems to be saying is that earlier the blue tick was elitist because it was being given out to celebrities, whereas now anybody can have it. That seems to be more of a democratization process, where if you believe that you want a verified account, you will pay for that service and take it. Again, I repeat, that doesn't mean that the actual verification process can be done away with.
Okay. So the verification process, we still do not know whether the same verification process will be followed, Arvind Gupta. We have often seen that people are unwilling to pay for media subscriptions and even content on OTT platforms. Some platforms that charge for value-added content struggle to get subscribers. Do you think this will lead to Twitter moving away its people, or will it really create revenue stream from users on this account?
So I think you have to look at it. First of all, what Napinai said is very correct. The process dilution is not what they have actually talked about. The verification process still remains as strict as possible, but they're trying to say, hey, you are followers. You are these people who have a lot of influence. You pay for using our service. And with that, it could be, there'll be a little bit of, service level agreements or some kind of servicing that will come along with that, I hope. But more than that, what it also does is it's saying that, if you see the 400,000 odd verified users that Twitter has, a lot of it is media houses, a lot of it are actual influencers, athletes, many people, social media people or creative economy people. They're actually finding ways to already monetize their Twitter following. So what Elon Musk is saying is, hey, this is a way for me to also ask for a pie, but for a consumer, for 99.5% of the consumers, this remains free. And I think that is the game that I think he's trying to say, that it is your news, your content. If you're spreading, you think about a news organization.
Arvind Gupta, how will it really help increase engagement? That's what also Elon Musk is promising, that you will have better engagement.
Yes. So
how will it really do that?
So you basically right now, a lot of this engagement is probably not only related to the $8, but it is related to more of the fact that there is a lot of these bots in the ecosystem, and there's a lot of spam. And I think that's one of the most contentious issue that Elon Musk has fought over the last 6-7 months while he's been fighting the legal battle to take over Twitter, has been that we need genuine accounts, we need genuine users, and that now that he has bought it, he wants to bring the genuine users, the genuine engagement. And really, if you have the $8 or whatever amount of money you're paying for it, you end up using a service as a consumer a little bit more
responsibly, perhaps.
Then you're not doing it. So I think that is his intent of bringing about engagement. But it remains free for 99.5% of the users, and that's the important point. The last point I do want to make, Maria, is people are benefiting from Twitter and the reach of Twitter that they've created. They don't want to let go of their user base they have on Twitter. So this is what he is, I think, smartly done is, he's talking to those users. He may lose a few. Definitely, he may lose out of the 500,000 verified accounts. He may lose a few who say, I don't want to, pay $8 a month or whatever the purchasing power parity cost he's talking about. But there will be people who have built such a large audience that they will, pay that amount and actually continue to grow their audience.
Okay. Abhishek Asthana goes by the name Gabbar on Twitter. he has over 1 million followers but doesn't have a blue tick. Abhishek, you continue to set the narrative on Twitter. And what does this frightfully expensive $8, I would say, because it is a huge amount, mean to somebody like you?
You're right, actually. See, India is a market which is very, very ROI driven. Every other dollar we spend on a subscription month-on-month basis, we are very mindful of what is the return we are getting. So for a consumer like me who is on Twitter with this following, and I've been tweeting, reaching out to people, and I haven't seen any kind of a drop in my reach, given the fact that I don't have a blue tick. And so the point is, for me, I need to know whether there will be a substantial increase in the engagement or my experience, as Elon is claiming, for me to actually pay that amount. And similarly, so the issue is that this is a recognition usually, right? This is something that was done to identify people so that people don't impersonate. This is for public figures. This is for their power users, where they're giving a blue tick to them so that they continue to be on the platform. But now suddenly a recognition that is being monetized now. Now there's a monetary value associated with it. Imagine if suppose I go to the platform and see a blue tick tomorrow, and the first thing that will come to my mind is whether this person has actually paid for this blue tick, or this person is actually a big public figure, which is whose voice or whose tweets I should take seriously.
So the credibility question will be there in your mind.
Yeah, true.
Yes. So Khushbu Jain, I'll take that thread a little forward. Is the move solely meant to create a more level playing field and equalize privileges of those who had found favor with the earlier Twitter management? Because we had seen, which Elon Musk has often called them as lords and peasants system, which was often accused of having left-leaning.
See, in a way, yes, you can say that, because if you see, company had a policy, Twitter till now had a policy that it did not offer verification to parody or to most fictional accounts or to the accounts that violate their Twitter rules, including around spam, around harassment, hate speech, fake news, and so on and so forth. And any Twitter user has been able to request for verification. That was the norm till now, though it was very unclear if those accounts were being processed and on what policy, and in case they have not been verified, what is the reason behind that. So that ambiguity or that vagueness was still there, and that arbitrariness was still existing in those things. And looking at that is where I think the new norm which we are bringing in, that let everybody have let there be a transparency, let there be an openness, whether whosoever wants to have a blue tick can go for a blue tick. And let's not restrict blue tick to just one thing. I think what they're talking about is advertisements also, that 90%, that is Twitter's $5 billion annual revenue, comes from the advertisements. And somebody who wants to see half of advertisements, as many of half of an advertisements, can pay for the services and can, opt for that specific thing. And I think it's not just Twitter. There are many other service providers which are available where we pay for prices, including LinkedIn and others, where we get services which are less with the advertisements. But nonetheless, I think what we have to yet see is what kind of transparency that will come with this payment process or other process, or how verification process will be done. As Napinai and all other panelists were talking about, that whether verification strictness, what will be the norm? One part is paying, but the other part of what is verification all about is something which you have to yet wait and watch and see what comes next.
Arvind Gupta, how can we ensure that all users, irrespective of their verification status, in fact complete their KYCs, which should be standardized and be available to security agencies, if they need, if they really need it? Because we have seen how countries have had greater challenges, particularly to do with security in the context of how these platforms have functioned in the past.
So Napinai, there is Maria, there is always a case of a balance between anonymity and KYC and this need for free speech. On one end, we're talking about free speech and promoting more free speech, and we've debated this in the past. And I think this is something that has a very nuanced issue. If I say that we should always have KYC for products, they rely on a telephone number. The telephone number at the back end has a KYC. So To answer your question, I think there has to be a more stringent process of accounts, and the bots and the spams have to go out. But the problem cannot be solved by Twitter alone. The whole ecosystem has to take a very big view, because if you're coming from a Google account or one of these virtual SIMs, and you put put that number in, you can create many accounts. Not every country has harmonization of policy. So while India may certainly say that every number that is operating out of India will need a phone number and will need that, but then you will have to also balance it with this whole issue of anonymity and free speech, and I won't be doing things that I want to be able to do, which I'm not able to do. I do want to bring in one point, though, which is very, very critical to this debate.
Okay.
Is that what is this whole advertising model that we've seen? Twitter has advertisers who are trying to promote a less data-driven advertisers. They're mostly trying to promote products or thoughts or thought leadership. Whereas the whole other advertising world that Twitter is surrounded with, the other companies which run 85-90% of the global digital advertising, is all driven with the fact that whenever the product is free, you are the product. And they eat our data and then, churn out advertising to us. I do hope, I'm not saying this will happen, I do hope by creating these revenue streams, Twitter will really lead, and Elon Musk, I hope, can do that, will lead by ensuring data privacy, this whole thing of users, and the privacy of users really gets taken care of, the consumer rights get taken care of. So I think this whole innovative approach that Elon Musk is doing is to bring about more revenue streams, so that he's less advertising dependent and more dependent on the actual power user. So I think that's a very, very, that's none of us are oracles who can predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I was part of the Web 1.0 revolution, by the way. I'm dating myself, when the Hotmail / there was a competing company to Hotmail, and they tried to charge $1 a month for using email services, which suddenly the consumers, that, as Khushbu is saying, shifted from that service to another one. The fortunate thing that today Twitter has is it doesn't have a similar platform of this nature and this scale globally that is there. So I think it's a calculated risk. It's a risky move. It's a calculated risk. One will have to see how it plays out.
Okay, so Napinai, the idea of giving a secondary tag to public figures and politicians creates a class within a class. And does it not defeat the purpose of creating an egalitarian space on Twitter, as is the stated objective according to Elon Musk?
Law, when we talk about equality, it is equality within specified classes. So in that sense, I don't think it would be really, an elitist aspect. If they already have that elitism in terms of blue ticks being associated with celebrities, if it is going to become available to all, if it is just going to signify a verified account and that's it, then I would say it's actually a move in reverse of balancing it out and making it more open. And ultimately, it's a corporate entity. It's going to work on what works best for the corporate entity ultimately, as long as legalities that are mandated for what they will now fall under as the significant social media intermediary, as long as they don't violate those kind of provisions, as long as the blue tick is not going to be given out for the asking without the verification process, as long as the process also is not going to encourage impersonations, etc., then they are on a good wicket.
Okay.
We can't really question it in terms of, whether it is the right thing to do or not. I'm sure they would have also taken their decision based on a business model analysis, etc.
Okay.
So from the legal perspective, this is what I would close out with, to say that in India, under the intermediary guidelines of 2021, which continues with the 2022 amendments that were recently notified, there is a voluntary verification process that is mandated, and the catchphrase there is voluntary. So what amounts to voluntary, and does this payment of $8?
I want to understand from you, Abhishek Asthana, and I have just enough time for you. Are you ready to pay for that blue tick?
I'm not actually. So the thing is, I've never actually had a blue tick. It's more of a rent for people who already have a blue tick. So because they have never seen life without a blue tick actually. So imagine if suppose suddenly that is taken away from them, then they would try to preserve that space and to preserve that real estate they had, and they may pay for it. But I have never had a blue tick earlier, and I don't see that having a blue tick will going to change my life on Twitter any further. I'm here talking to you guys without a blue tick, so that should say it actually. Yeah.
All right. And what about others? Khushbu, is $8 too much? Just specific answer.
I don't think so. They're coming up with $8. The statement comes that jurisdiction-wise,
Yes,
country-specific,
yes.
is going to come up with different pricing module, and we are yet to see what pricing comes here and with what package.
All right. Arvind Gupta, N.S. Napinai, Abhishek and Khushbu Jain, thank you so much for joining us.